How long have you been from Seresso?
So when I first went to Japan was 2011-12, the turnover point. So at that point, Seresso were in J1. And the next season they signed Diego Forlan.
Yeah.
So it was very easy for me to choose Seresso, I think, because I live near to the south area of Osaka. Yeah, it's not. I mean, I don't know if you know Osaka, but like there's like the Namba, Tennoji, Nagai is the set. And after that you got Sakaishi. So I lived in a place called Tsuruhashi, which is very near to there. So everything is Seresso in that area.
Okay.
There's no Gamba anything.
What are you fascinated by Seresso? Supporters or the players?
Okay, so I feel that Seresso still do this. They play a lot of young players.
Yeah.
Right. Their system throughout the whole league system is pretty strong, right? And they've always signed players from all around Kansai. So I think that's a really good. I think that's a good plan. I think that's a good way to do it. I mean, we were talking before about like how I watched Hotaru would come from like, 17, 18 years old, come into the first team, play really well. Everyone thinks, wow, this is. I mean, there's a point where it was like Hotaru and Ogihara in midfield, even to the point where Takumi Minamino was playing on the left, right? And you think this is like, this is actually part of like the Japanese national team now. Yeah. And they all came through the same youth team. I think it's a good thing to see young players, because you can. I mean, I was an English teacher, so when you're teaching young people, you always want young people to do well. So the team gives opportunities to young players. I like that. I think that's good.
Yeah. Right. They have a good academy. Like you say, they produced like Minamino, Hotaru, Kakitani as well. Yeah.
There was a point where Kakitani went on to Basel, FC Basel in Switzerland.
Yeah, Basel.
And, I mean, before that, Kagawa Shinji, like Kiyotake moved there when he was like 19 from.
Who's your favorite player?
Okay, that's a good question. My favorite player that I watched at Seresso, where I was like, okay, there are two players, right? The first one was in my first season that I started watching when I went there, which was Fabio Simplicio, who was just clearly still a European Champions League player, just playing in the J League, and he was just so good. I think he went on a season-long loan from Roma to Seresso, so he was still like mid-level Champions League player, like easily, right? And he just bossed the midfield. He was brilliant. I also love Souza as well for the same. Scored some amazing goals, amazing free kicks as well. Brilliant football player. Okay, so in terms of the Japanese players, the consistency, I think, has been one of the things that was important. And so a lot of the Japanese players are a little bit inconsistent, and it's one of the reasons why they don't make it a lot of the time in Europe. But when Ogihara played for Seresso, he was brilliant. He was actually great. And then became a top J League player when he went to Marinos.
Marinos, yeah.
So I mean, he's a brilliant football player. But to watch, I think my favorite was a player called Kusukami.
Kusukami.
But he was brilliant. He was excellent. Like, he would get on the ball and he would never be scared.
Yeah.
It kind of was a little bit like watching a Japanese, like, kind of Luis Nani. Like, sometimes he'd lose it and he'd be like, okay, well, I lose it. He'd go and get the ball back, and then he'd run at the defense again, and that was cool. I think when one of the seasons when Kakitani played as well, I think that would have been he played in J League 2, and then they got promoted, and then so 2013-14 season, Kakitani was unplayable. Like every game he scored.
I remember,
goals.
Yeah. He scored a lot of goals. Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
He scored some amazing goals too.
Yeah.
I mean, like some, it was a little bit like watching Sergio Aguero, but it was brilliant. When he nearly made it. Like he went to Europe, he just didn't settle for some reason.
Yeah.
So just for whatever reason they didn't make it. Like when Hotaru was there, he was great. He was really, really good. And I think the Seresso fans are really upset when he decided to leave for Kobe. So because it's a rival team, and he was a Soleso captain. So I was like,
Did you find something, the things that you didn't like about J League?
Not okay. So the J League's got so many positives, right? I think, in my opinion, it should be much more watched than it is. I just think it's because of a time zone difference. So there's already so much European football that people are watching, right? And so obviously, also MLS are trying to get a big impact here. When J League's on the TV here, it's on Eurosport, but it's just on in the morning. In terms of the coverage, like I think that probably hopefully will improve, like over a certain period of time. The J League fans are amazing. Like, it doesn't matter where they are, they're really good, and they're really the stadiums are noisy, the colours are great. Doesn't matter what your team is, like there's a very good kind of atmospheric thing. I mean, like obviously Soleso playing pink, but Hiroshima Sanfrecce playing purple. It's a good kind of mix. I think the standard of play is good. I think a lot of teams play a very simple passing game. What I mean by that is that like they prefer to kind of like have a philosophy that's a little bit more like Arsenal or Barcelona, that they keep things short a lot of the time rather than hitting balls long.
Especially Kawasaki, right?
Right. It suits Japanese players. I mean, why wouldn't you do that? I mean, compared to other play styles around the world, Japanese players are really good at passing it short and keeping the ball moving. So pass and move works great, but like, I mean that has its negatives too. Does that make sense?
What's that?
Is that because lots of teams they play a lot of the same style of football. The games are very samey. It's not very much there's like if you watch English football, some teams play long ball. Like really direct football.
Traditional style and
right. So if you're watching Arsenal or City, then you know that you're going to be watching the kind of passing game, right? But if you watch Manchester United or you watch Liverpool, it's like more like a kind of gegenpress style. I think it's one of the reasons why German football is so popular. Right? Because the teams are dynamic. They change. That's good to watch. It's one of the good things about the situation. But yeah, that's not always a negative. I mean, sometimes they play well. It's just that the game has kind of like more of a kind of technical element to it. That like if you play, you play football, so but from a tactics point of view, it's like a little bit not boring. It's not the word. It's more kind of like you know what to expect. And they're not gonna change to a different system immediately, because that just really doesn't happen so much. Most teams play a kind of similar system where they play back four, 2 set branch midfield, one set in top midfield, then 2 wide players that can either go inverted or stay really wide, and then forward who runs a lot.